Hello, friends, family, followers, and guests. Thank you for visiting. I was thinking about the two officers shot in Compton yesterday, Compton, California. I worked in Compton in 1972. The murder rate in Compton at that time was the highest in the nation, and it was black on black. I started pondering what would make someone shoot two cops in their car. I got to thinking about the state of affairs for today, and that turned me in part to politics. I thought about Jane Fonda, of all things. And I thought about her because I thought about John McCain, who was touted as a war hero. That, of course, was absolute bullshit. Privileged man raised in a privileged environment, huge amounts of money. What he was a survivor. He survived the Hanoi Hilton. When he got out, he became a senator, and he had the opportunity to do something about the treasonous person, Jane Fonda. And those in my generation, most are familiar with her acts of treason. He did nothing. He was a swamp rat, a privileged swamp rat, and he worked hard to protect his swamp endeavors. Anybody wants to call him a hero can, of course. They can call him anything they want, but I don't accept that. So I thought about that, and then I thought about some liars. Harry Reid, Republican, Mormon, which made me think about Mitt Romney, who is still in the Congress today, and he's a turncoat traitor to the Republican Party, and also a swamp rat and a liar of the first order. Unfortunately, both of those last two were Latter-day Saints. That caused me to think about other people. Hillary Clinton. I had my need-to-know security clearance. If I had said and done the things that she did, I'd be in prison today. She has admitted to the facts. That's F-A-C-T-S, not F-A-X. Facts. That constitute felonious crimes. Yet she goes free. The swamp protects its own. And I will close this circle with Compton in just a minute. So we talk about those things, and then we see what's happened in some of the bigger cities. Portland, Oregon, where rioters by the hundreds and hundreds get together to loot, pillage, maim, even kill Antifa, Black Lives Matters, and nothing is done to them. We have the rapist back, I think it was in New Jersey here a few weeks ago, who was sentenced for raping a 6-year-old girl. What was he sentenced to? 3 months. We have 2 generations now that have been raised on war games and killing cops games. They have that inbred into them through the media, the game playing, hours and hours and hours of it. So here we sit. I have a friend whose son was the victim of druggies, and the druggies didn't get charged. Nothing. How do I, and how do you come to rely on the concept of justice when we can visibly see, literally, day after day, there is no justice. People getting fined and threatened with jail for not wearing a mask. And people who do wear masks and roam the streets of these big cities, hurting other people, destroying billions of dollars worth of property, no one does anything about them. Some Antifa bitch whining because she's been charged with trespass. So we look at that for the purposes of justice, and the feeling is almost overwhelming that the only real justice comes by our willingness to get justice. A family member is killed, is murdered, is tortured, is beat to death, and the perpetrator gets 7 years, he'll be out in 3 or 4 years, yet if it's me, but for the people who it really is, if we want justice, where do we find justice in that when we are the victims as well? And we live with that, not for the 4 years that the guy's going to spend in prison. We live with it for the rest of our lives. Where is the justice in that? And so what we do is we turn to the court system and we say, what is wrong? What is the message that's being sent? In our guts, we know what is wrong. And these people who are without morals or who have a different kind of standard than my generation was raised with and the preceding generations, we know how to take care of them. We really do. I think about that, and you've heard me advocate self-defense. We've all heard that sometimes the best defense is a good offense. When those trespassers come onto my property, I will use my best judgment to protect myself and protect my family. But where is the justice for us as a society when these judges can get away with the decisions they make, these wannabe attorneys who can't practice, can't do squat, and they go in the process because they can't do their jobs and become judges, and people are stupid enough to vote for them and continue voting for them. I have no idea what the real solution is, except to send messages to the rapists, the murderers, the looters, the criminals, and that message isn't the court message. I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know what's going to happen. I personally believe we are engaged in a civil war. And until our legislature, our Congress, and our state legislatures clean their own house, there is no way we can rely on them to protect us. And in fact, we have a whole party, the Democratic Party, who refuses to protect us. They're against the wall. They're for criminal aliens. They want to coddle all of these people. They allow anti-American people to claim natural sovereignty in Seattle. And not one of those people went to Gitmo after they denied their U.S. citizenship, even though they otherwise committed acts of terror and felonies on American soil when they're no longer Americans. There's so much going on here. And then you have those in the Congress who are obstructionists. They won't allow the current administration to protect us. They're doing everything they can to keep that from happening. All they want is power and control. and they don't care about you. And you may be a Democrat, and you may be listening to this, and you may say, oh, I think different, and I feel different. Wait until it's your family that becomes the victim. Wait until it's your child that's raped, and the rapist spends 3 years or 4 years, and your child is damaged for life. Or it's your child that's murdered, and the murderer gets 11 years, and he gets out in 5. Yet you live without that child for the rest of your life. And for a woman, what's more heart-wrenching than to lose a child? None of us want to see our child go first. What do we do about that? What do we individually do? What do you do? What do I do?